Pixar, one of the most storied animation studios ever. They ushered in a new era, popularizing 3D animation as we know it. They gave us classic films such as Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, and even Monsters, Inc. For years, Toy Story was my personal favorite movie until I was about 8 or 9 years old. Then Shrek and Monsters, Inc. came out within 6 months of each other, becoming massive successes, both with a blend of fun storytelling and emotional depth. They still resonate with me all these years later. Shrek got a ton of games, a couple of which I've already reviewed on this channel. However, Monsters, Inc. only had a small handful of games on console. Crazy to think, given Pixar is owned by Disney and they were no strangers to milking franchises dry. Anyway, this is Monsters, Inc. Scream Team for PlayStation. Right off the bat, Scream Team appears to be canon, taking place between both movies, before the events of the first movie and right after the prequel. During the first in-game cutscene, the characters briefly mention their time in college and reference a disaster that happened while they were attending Monsters University.
Relax, Mikey. Remember what happened on our first day of college.
Please, don't remind me.
Yeah, okay, but I don't want to deal with another mess like that. It took them a whole semester to rebuild the dorm.
Didn't I say not to remind me?
A cool detail I never really thought about connecting to anything back then because obviously that second movie wasn't out. It is in this same scene that you can tell John Goodman and Billy Crystal don't voice the characters in the game. But the voice actors do a good job of making me forget that most of the time. The game starts out on Scare Island, where Mike and Sully are training to become scarers at Monsters Incorporated. Mr. Waternoose is your mentor and guide across Scare Island. The goal of the game is to get bronze, silver, and gold medals in all 12 levels across the 3 worlds. To show Mr. Waternoose you have what it takes to be the top scarer. You are awarded each medal for completing certain tasks. For bronze, you'll need to scare all the non-red colored nerves, which are robots that can measure how scary a monster is. You cannot approach a nerve without collecting enough ooze to fill the gauge. Once you fill it with that certain color, you can approach and scare nerves wearing the corresponding color. They are defeated by tapping the buttons on screen until they explode in fright. Silver medals require collecting all 10 monster tokens. Lastly, gold medals are awarded by destroying all the remaining red nerves.
Not bad for a guy with one eye!
Platforming is the highlight of Scream Team. It's all due to the differences in how Mike and Sully control. For example, Mike floats for a second after his double jump to give you better control over where you want to land, making platforming much easier. But he's as small as most enemies, so you can easily miss an enemy when attacking and take damage. Whereas Sully has a bigger hitbox and can attack enemies with ease, but he feels much heavier to control when he jumps. Neither of these differences impact gameplay in a big way, unlike some games where it might require one character to progress in an area. Here, every level can be completed by either character. They just control how you'd imagine they would. Even though the platforming isn't unique, it's still fun to jump around and collect stuff. The game gets that right at the very least. The levels are designed pretty well with good atmosphere and flow, but they are often smaller than you would imagine, given how other PlayStation games at the time were capable of much larger levels, like in Spyro the Dragon. The first world consists of city-related levels, the second are Egyptian and desert themed, and the third are comprised of Arctic and ice themes, all your average fare. Scream Team really could have used one more world, maybe jungle or lava-based levels. That would have been cool. Scream Team is fairly short. It's so short, in fact, the developers felt they needed to pad the game to elongate the playtime. Considering the game takes roughly 4.5 hours to complete, I see why. Every world has a mechanic that locks you from getting silver and gold medals until you get bronze in all of those 4 levels of the world. You then unlock those mechanics like trampolines or speed boost pads in the levels you just played. This requires backtracking to collect all the tokens and scare the remaining nerves. That's really a shame since I believe this game has a good sense of flow otherwise. there are a few instances where the camera causes issues. When you're in a wide open space, the camera does a good job of following you, but if you go into a small area, like a cave or any place with a bunch of objects, the camera tends to get caught on level geometry. In my opinion, the worst aspect of the camera is when you jump to a platform above or below you. None more evident than the Oasis level, where you have to jump down to the top of a palm tree and keep jumping across them. The initial jump is like taking a leap of faith. You don't know if you're going to land properly. If you land in the right spot, then you still have to hop on a magic carpet that moves left and right. The camera makes it seem like you're not going to jump far enough, but then you end up over-jumping the carpet entirely. In that one particular instance, it feels like platforming in Bubsy 3D.
But sir!
Despite the small levels, short runtime, and occasional issues with the camera, Monsters, Inc. Scream Team is a fun time. It's still your average PlayStation platformer in an age where they were a dime a dozen, but the game differentiates itself by being faithful to the source material and reveling in its world and characters. If you enjoy the movies, or just like platformers on the PlayStation, you'll likely enjoy it. At least it doesn't outstay its welcome. This is Monsters, Inc. Scream Team for PlayStation.